Hey, what's going on guys? Welcome back to another Xbox video. So today we're going to be talking about the last part of the setup for this exploit, how you can get your Xbox Series or Xbox One console ready to actually run the exploit, because we do have a proof of concept that you can run just to test to make sure that your firmware is vulnerable and that it's going to work. And we're going to set that up here in this video. Now, in the first video I made on this, it showed you how to get your Xbox ready before Microsoft launches a new system software update, so that you have your console ready with the correct app installed and you're able to launch it when you're offline, so that when Microsoft push a new update, you'll still be able to run it and access the exploit when it comes out. Now, since then, it looks like Microsoft is rolling out a new June update, and I don't have confirmation if this patches the vulnerability or not yet, but it's most likely going to. So at this point, I would say if you don't have your Xbox ready by now, it's probably too late to follow the steps from the first video, because you might end up installing the new June update instead of the May update, which will most likely patch the exploit. Now, as of right now, when I'm recording this video, it still shows the latest update on support.xbox.com is the May version. However, they have announced on Twitter that they are rolling out the June update. So yeah, it's probably going to be too late by the time you watch this video if you don't already have your Xbox prepared. Assuming you have got your Xbox prepared from what I showed in the previous video, we can get the last step set up here, which is to get a device/microcontroller that can simulate a keyboard, rubber ducky, or similar. Otherwise, you have to type a lot manually. Now, this is actually not required, because you can use certain apps on the Xbox to copy the code from the script. You don't necessarily need to have a rubber ducky or set up a Raspberry Pi Pico as a rubber ducky if you have these apps installed. So the apps are either the Notepad T application that you can download from the store, or the Advanced File Manager, which you can also download from the store. Now, if you don't have these applications at this point, again, it's probably too late and you'll have to use the rubber ducky method, which I will show you guys after this. So first of all, if you were able to get the Notepad T application installed or the Advanced File Manager, I used the Notepad T application. All you have to do is download the proof of concept script from the developer's GitHub. Download that. It's just a text file that you can download to your computer. And then you just want to get a USB drive, plug that into your computer, copy the text file onto the USB, and then plug that USB into the Xbox One or Series console. At which point, when you get the prompt of how you want to use that USB drive, select Media as the option. And then from there, you can launch the Notepad T application. And at that point, all I did was go to the menu in the top left-hand corner, then went down to the Open File option and selected the file on the USB drive to open. And that gets all of the text loaded in there. And then from there, I just went back to the same menu option and went down to the Select All option to highlight all of that text. Once again, back into that same menu option again and select the option to copy. Or just select the copy icon in the bottom left-hand corner. So select the option to copy all of that text, and then you can launch the GameScript application, and then go into the GameScript window and select the option to paste the code, and that will paste the entire code in there. So in order to run it, if you hold down the X button, you can use the left stick to move the window around, so you can move it out of the way. And then you can press RB, or right bumper and left bumper, to switch between the different windows. So you want to switch down to the Windows option, and then from here, you want to tick the box to show code run window, and that will open the code run window. And again, you can hold down X and move that around and move that out of the way. And then again, press RB or LB to then switch back to the Windows section again. And then you can scroll down and select the option to show the console window, which will give us our output window there. And then once we have that, we can then switch back again by holding X and pressing RB or LB in order to switch back to the code run option, and then select the option to run code once, and that will run it. It does take a few seconds, give it like 5 or 10 seconds, maybe a bit longer, depends, but eventually it should print out the 1337 value in the console window. If you see that in the console window, you have successfully loaded it. And that means also that you are on a vulnerable firmware, it would seem. So if you don't have the Notepad T application installed or the Advanced File Manager, which you can use to copy the code over, then if the only thing you have is the GameScript application, you'll have to use a rubber ducky or a Raspberry Pi Pico, which you can set up as a rubber ducky. That's my preferred method because it's super cheap. Raspberry Pi Picos are just a couple of dollars. So you can just grab yourself a cheap Raspberry Pi Pico and turn it into a rubber ducky, which will turn it into a virtual keyboard that will paste in all of the code for the exploit automatically for you once you have it set up. So all you need to do is head over to the Pico Ducky project on GitHub and go to the releases section. And then from there, if you scroll down, you have a bunch of different zip files. You want to select the one for your language. So probably Pico Ducky v2.0-us.zip. That's the one that I downloaded. So download the one that corresponds to your language. And then from there, you're going to want to open up that zip file. And that'll give you all of the files in there. And then we're going to plug in our Raspberry Pi Pico to the computer. And that should open up like a USB drive. And from there, you'll be able to then copy the UF2 file for the Pico. So mine's a regular Pico, but there's also one for Pico W. So copy your respective UF2 file onto the Raspberry Pi Pico. And then after a couple of seconds, it should automatically reboot and it will come back as Circuit Pi. From there, you'll then be able to copy all of the other files across. So you're going to want to copy the lib folder, all of the Python files. You're going to want to select all of those Python files and the payload.dd file. You want to copy all of those over to the Raspberry Pi. And then once those are copied, we're going to edit the payload.dd file. So open that up in Notepad and get rid of the example payload that's in there. Then we're going to head back to the script from the developer. And if you scroll down, somebody has posted a rubber ducky payload version of the script that you can copy. So just highlight all of that and copy it. And you're going to want to paste that into Notepad as your payload.dd file. And you can then save it and you should be good. That's all you have to do. Unplug the Raspberry Pi Pico. Then you can just launch the GameScript app on your Xbox and get onto the actual GameScript window. Select the code so that you can start typing. And then from there, you're going to just plug in the Raspberry Pi Pico. And after about 3 seconds or so, it should start automatically typing in the entire exploit code into that window. And you're just going to wait for it to finish typing all of it. And once it's done, again, you just repeat the same process I covered before. You open the run code window and the console window, and then you run the code to make sure that it will print out the 1337 value, meaning it has worked successfully. So that is how you get the last part of the exploit set up. You don't need a rubber ducky or Raspberry Pi Pico if you have an app like the Notepad T application or the Advanced File Manager application installed. You can use those instead to copy the code over. It's much easier. But again, if you don't have those applications and you're not able to download them now because of the new update that's been released, then the Raspberry Pi Pico is still very easy to set up and it works pretty well. So anyway, that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it or found the information useful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. And once again, I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video.